So I'm with John Welwood. Hi, John.
Hi.
So maybe one way to start would be to ask you how you work with clients.
Mm-hmm. Well, basically, I work in a lot of different ways with clients, depending on my sense of what they're needing and where they're blocked and what they're like. Because everybody's different, so everybody's going to respond to different things. But the overall method or approach I take is to help the person's stream of experiential process to unfold in the direction it needs to go. Somehow it's getting stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So we could say everybody has a life stream of experiencing. I call it the life stream, which is like a stream of experiencing that's happening all the time. Feelings, thoughts, impulses, and so forth. And the reason they've come in to see me is that there's something stuck. There's some blockage. There's something they're stuck or confused about, or some kind of repetitive pattern they have no understanding or control about. So I try to sort of basically, first of all, I often use the words track and unpack. So I like to track the experiential stream, see what's going on, where it's stuck, where this person's life is stuck, exactly how it is. That might take a while. But that experiential stream wants to go in a certain direction, just like a river does. A stream or a river, it wants to go to the ocean. It doesn't really know that. You could say the river doesn't know it wants to go to the ocean. Until it gets there, then it probably realizes, I'm where I meant to go. It's the same with the body. The body unfolds in that kind of way. The body, you could say, and we're not just talking about the gross physical body. We're talking about the subtle body, the lived body, the energetic body, the felt body, which to me is also, I see there's three levels of body. There's the gross body, you could say the outer body, the inner body, the felt, lived body, experiential body, the body as it's experienced from within.
So that's these three bodies that you track.
Yeah. I track mainly where I'm talking about the experiential body.
The experiential body.
But the deeper aspect of the body is there's a kind of, I actually talk about, we have to keep going back here, I talk about three kinds of body. The body we inhabit, which is the gross outer body, the gross physical body. The body that we are, and that's the stream of experiencing that we're moving. We are that river that's moving. And then, there's a third level, which is more esoteric, which is what I call the no body that we are.
No body as in N-O?
N-O, yeah. So, and that is somewhat equivalent in the Eastern traditions too. We could call it Dharmakaya, what's called the body with truth. So we could call it the awareness body, the truth body. So we could use a larger wisdom in the person that's beyond their personal understanding of self, that's also moving or wanting to come to life or to come to fruition in some way. That's, for most people, that's kind of hidden unless they're a spiritual practitioner of some kind. And they're focusing on that, but that's sort of like the underlying. So there's three.
So you're also talking about the fact that this third body is something that you can tap into even if the client is not really particularly spiritual.
That's right. It's always there. It's all in there in all of us. It's the awareness body that we're all aware of what's going on. Even though we're lost, usually we're lost. Our awareness is lost in our experiencing. It's hidden within our experiencing. Usually we're usually focused on what we think and what we feel. Those are contents of consciousness. And so we're focused on the content, and we get sort of swept away by the content. And we don't have awareness of that. We're usually not aware that we're aware of as I'm feeling angry, and I'm swept up in the anger. I'm in the angry thoughts, I'm in the angry mood, I'm in the sort of what's going on in my body around that, I'm going into, my beliefs that I need to get revenge or whatever it is. What we're not aware of is that there is an awareness of all that going on at the same time. And that awareness is not swept up, it's not caught up. It's actually a place of space and openness that can actually recognize what's going on there. neutral, has no agenda toward that. It's not so caught up in having to get revenge or to do anything really, or to even express the anger. It's just it's the capacity to actually recognize what's going on.
And that other body is one that you can access, and you can help the client shift from the gross body to that other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing it technically in any kind of way, in any technical way. It's not like I'm trying to get them to shift from one body to another body. But I'm trying to help them develop awareness of what's going on, which is tapping into that third body. But at the same time, not a disembodied awareness, not a dissociated awareness. That's kind of completely stepped back from the stream of experiencing. But that's actually, you could say, awareness is very much holding our experiencing, but it's also distinct from it. Our experiencing, our thoughts and feelings and emotions happen in awareness. So they're in that space, but the awareness itself is not completely limited to those thoughts and feelings. So it's like the sky and the clouds. You could say the contents of experiencing are like the clouds. They're held within the sky. The sky is not actually obstructed by those clouds, even though it seems that way sometimes. But in fact, that sky in its nature is completely open, vast, infinite, etc., etc. So I'm trying to help the person find some of that clear sky to be able to reflect on and relate to what they're experiencing.
So in other words, the person's experience is to be mostly aware of the clouds, and that relates to that sense of feeling stuck.
Yeah, that's what part of the claustrophobia, and they're stuck in there. They're lost in their experiencing. You say they're lost in thought. They're lost in emotion. Their capacity to reflect and to know and to be clear and to be open with what's going, to really know what's going on, to really know what's happening inside them, around them, and so forth, is all lost in the absorption in thought and feeling.
So absorbed in the clouds or in the feelings or in the emotion that actually they're unable to see the larger picture.
Right. Yeah, or to even feel themselves. The larger picture also being themselves. To feel themselves in the larger sense. Because their sense of self is so determined and conditioned by the drivenness of that experiential stream. The other thing we try to do. So it's like I'm not saying this is meditation where we just sit there and watch our experiencing in a very detached way. So it's not quite like that, but there is an element of being able to step back and have that open sky quality so you can actually see what's going on. At the same time, we're actually also working in the stream of experiencing, so we're trying to connect very much with the feelings that are happening.
But with the sense maybe that the big sky provides a larger container for that experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's just my own, that's my own background, but I don't bring that in any didactic sort of way. What I actually do is try to help that stream move in the direction it wants to go. It's getting sort of blocked, which is creating some pressure inside, stress and pressure on the person, because they're lost in the whole process, and they don't know where they want to go, or they don't know how to overcome an obstacle in their life. And so everything's getting a little coagulated and stirred up and stressed out. And so we try to help the stream move, track the stream and see where it wants to go. And then we start to see, so we start to see what the feelings are and how they, when we pay attention to those feelings, there's an unfolding process. Those feelings start to unfold. So we bring attention to what Eugene Gendlin calls the felt sense, or the felt implicit. What's there but which hasn't yet been articulated, and it's directly felt, it's very palpably felt, but it's not clear to that person exactly what it is or where it's going, so we unpack it, unfold it. So basically there's two things here going on: tracking the feelings, tracking and unpacking.
So as I want to just stop for a moment, when you talk about the tracking part, as I'm listening to you, you also depict a very vivid picture of some kind of a landscape where there is a flow, and so that the client may never really, you're not doing a didactic description of this, but it's pretty much your roadmap as you have a session.
I don't have a roadmap, really. I don't know where it's going either. And I don't have a particular agenda for where it should go. But that's not always true. There are times when I am actually trying to see if I can engender some kind of knowing or understanding in a person. But in the essence of the healing, I would say, is more like the essence of what I do is to just help the person bring awareness to what's going on, acknowledge it in their body, and through the process of bringing direct awareness to it with no agenda toward it, what happens, and feeling it directly and bringing an attitude of inquiry. I think I started earlier saying there's three elements of therapy: the relationship, and then in the particular process there's two main things. One is which is inquiry, which is bringing awareness to bear on the experiencing, so that we can actually look at and ask questions into the experiential stream. So that's inquiry, and then there's a process of, or that's reflection or inquiry, and there's a process of presence, which is the capacity to be present with the feeling and experiencing that's going on.
So, and the relationship obviously helps the other two processes.
Yeah, all three of those kind of work together. So when we're tracking so things are unfolding. Let's say you pay attention to your body sense and it feels kind of tight, and then you inquire into that. So what's going on here? Let me feel into that tightness. What is this? What's going on in here? What's it like to make contact with that? And then usually if they make contact with it, maybe there's some release, or maybe it gets more intense, or maybe it shifts a little bit. Something else comes up. It's not so much tension. It's once I pay attention to the tension, maybe something else appears, which maybe it turns as a sense of sorrow, or a sense of frustration or anger or whatever.
So just to describe it, you're paying attention to where the person is here and now in the body, that sensation, not quite sensation, but the felt sense. And as you stay with the felt sense, it starts unpacking and going into different directions.
It goes in a direction. And that's what we mean by the body knows where it wants to go. It doesn't know cognitively. The body now we're talking about is the feeling body, the experiential stream. Like a river, it knows where it wants to go. It implicitly knows it wants to go toward the ocean, although the river wouldn't know that in advance until it gets there. And then it would say, this is where I'm meant to be. It's at the end of that unfolding process, you go like, yes, this is what I'm needing to know, or to be, or to feel, or to understand. But along the way, the stream, you could say, keeps running into obstacles that sort of block it or dam it up a little bit. So the unpacking, and so those obstacles are like psychological structures, patterns, conditioned patterns, defensive strategies, blockages in feeling itself, fear of the feeling. You might have, maybe that anger is, basically a lot of our feelings are undigested material from the past that we haven't been able to fully digest, and so there's a kind of fear of them. There's a fear that they're too much, or that I can't handle it, I've never been able to deal with this. And that fear itself prevents the stream from moving forward. So in order to digest that material and help it flow and to unfold, we have to unpack what the obstacle is, what is it? So then, as the stream goes along and you hit the obstacle, then you may have to kind of, sort of like doing some vertical work of digging in and seeing, well, what's stuck here? What's the problem? What's going on here? And the questions are always asked into the experiential stream, into the felt sense, into how it feels, and then not not meant to be answered with the cognitive mind.
Yeah. So as the stream progresses, you hit obstacles, and then you explore them,
Right.
but with running away from the cognitive and helping people go deeper in the felt sense.
Yeah. To keep unpacking it.
To keep unpacking. So I like that image of unpacking, so that sense of, that maybe there's something very compacted material.
It's like compacted, yeah. It's like the words that are useful here, implicit and explicit. Implicit literally means folded in. So our experience is, we have our experience is very complex as human beings, with all kinds of things going on at the same moment. And we have all this history of things in our past. So and most of it is just functioning implicitly. It's not explicit. But when we bring awareness to bear on the implicit, we start to unpack, or you could even say exfoliate, different elements of the felt implicit. And we can only do that one by one. So at first you feel tension, and then you pay attention to the tension, and maybe it feels a little kind of heavy, but that's already a little different. It was tense, now we're getting in touch, bringing attention to it. We now realize it's actually more heaviness. And then you feel into the heaviness, what's going on here, what's it like to connect with that heaviness.
So what you're describing is that this process of unpacking the implicit is actually not something that's done through words, through analyzing a situation.
Not for analyzing. The words are a vehicle for it.
The vehicle, but for putting words on, connecting with the felt sense, and being very focused, being very aware of what's happening at a body level.
Yeah. It's sort of like letting the felt sense express itself. That's really ideally what we want. Sort of like the way if you were doing improvisational dance, you wouldn't. It's different than having a choreographed dance. So improvisational dance, well, how does that happen? How do you know where you're going to move? You don't know until the body actually does it. But it comes from an impulse. It comes from a sense. If it's really congruent, if it's really creative, and if it's going to be, in the flow, as a flow, it's going to come as a kind of direct expression of where the life energy is in that moment. That dance is going to be a beautiful expression of it. So the movement is the explication, making explicit what was implicit before. Because the body had a sense, and now as you're invited to dance, if you're given a big room, you're saying, now you can dance in this room, then the body starts to unfold and unwind and move, and it's the same way with experiential process.
Yeah, so that's definitely a dance in the sense of an improvisation dance, but also maybe a dance between you and the client.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
Of encouraging, of helping, of noticing.
Yeah. So you're kind of flowing along with that person. So as a therapist, I'm flowing along with that river, that client's stream. And I am also... Their stream of experiencing is also affecting my stream of experiencing, inevitably. So the way I also track them, but I track them by tracking me. As I track them by tracking my felt sense of their felt sense. And that's how it's like, and I'm usually not in my, when we're working in this kind of way, I'm not in my mind thinking about what's going on and what it means and where it should go, but I'm actually more in my body just sensing what's being said and the shadings and the tones and the colorations and then suggesting things back to that person that help them focus on a certain element of it. And then we're constantly checking back. If we use words, we check back those words to make sure that they're congruent with the felt sense, so that the stream actually is moving in the really direction it really wants to go.
And again, every step of the way, the control of whether it's going in the right direction is at the felt sense level.
That's right. That's the ultimate arbiter. So it sounds very corny to say the body knows or body wisdom is kind of all, but this is what it really means, is that there is you could say, a process of digestion. Another term would be digestion. We've talked about explication or exfoliation or unpacking. These are all just digestions, a different term. These are terms for a kind of blooming, buzzing confusion of experience that it's implicit, or it's like a hologram where you have the, what's it called? I don't know what the word now is for that. But interference pattern. But when you bring it to a holographic design, then that takes a certain form. But if you looked at it in its nature, it was all very fuzzy and blurry. It's like that with our experience. It's all kind of fuzzy and blurry until we actually bring awareness to it and start to weed out these different elements one by one.
So on the one hand, it's fuzzy and blurry, on the other hand, it's compacted.
It's compact. That's why it's fuzzy and blurry. All these elements compacted into one. And they have to be kind of brought out piece by piece.
And absorbed at a body level.
Right, absorbed and assimilated. And so the process of bringing them out. And then there's another aspect of, so the inquiry is we're asking into that process what's going on. And as things emerge, then there's also a process of presence, what I call unconditional presence, where we need to help the person actually be with what's arising. Because often what's arising is threatening, or it brings up old wounds or old issues or old emotions or resistance or whatever it is. So there's a process then of helping that person be present with what arises. So it's like the stream is moving and it hits a certain point, and then you do some unpacking and something arises. And then before the stream can continue to move, I need to make sure that this person is really present with their experiencing, that they're really okay with what's going on. If they have any attitude toward it, like this shouldn't be happening, this is not okay, I don't like this, I'm afraid of it, anything like that, the stream is not going to be able to move in it.
And this would also happen at a body level, a felt sense level.
Body level, yeah. So for me, the unconditional presence practice has some different elements to it. I won't go into all of them right now, but just by acknowledging the feeling and making direct contact with it as it is, and then allowing it to have some space, giving it space, and seeing that, letting it, and then the person can start to relate to that feeling. Usually they're having a hard time relating to the feeling because it's like maybe some kind of boogeyman in your life that you've never been able to handle this, or it has some kind of connotation or association that's threatening and dangerous. So trying to just give it, if that's true, then we try to give it a lot of space to be there. Some sort of like, and then they can actually then start to feel their awareness happening, because that space is awareness. It's the space of awareness that allows the feeling to actually be there.
And part of that space is your presence.
I'm embodying, in a way I'm embodying the space by my presence. Yeah, I'm actually, representing space.
Acceptance, space.
Like allowing, acceptance, holding, openness, no agenda. No agenda is really important, because the minute an attitude comes in toward it, like it's an anger, it should be expressed, or it shouldn't be expressed, or it's, or any attitude toward it like that, that interferes with the process, actually. So it's very fine tuning of not introducing some agenda of what the person should or shouldn't be doing at any given moment.
And in that sense, you mentioned of the therapist embodying those qualities or expectations of presence, of acceptance, of space.
Yeah, that's where meditative training comes in. It's like, for a therapist, I think it's a very useful training. I mean, I always consider meditation my best training as a therapist. To develop those capacities for openness, spaciousness, equanimity, non-agenda toward your own experience, and then when you can do that with yourself, then you can more readily do it with clients, actually. If you can't do it with yourself, it's really hard to do it, actually, with clients, because in that case, then their emotionality will, the client's emotionality, if I have a trouble with my own anger, then the client's anger is going to touch, it's going to bring up my sense of discomfort with my anger. And then I'm going to try to manage their anger in some kind of way, and that's kind of imposing my stuff on them. So that's the opposite. So we need to actually just be open with the whole range of our own experiencing as therapists too. Or the meditative training is actually very good for that.
And that's where actually there is complementarity, or it goes hand in hand to have a meditative approach in training, and at the same time a very body-oriented approach. Meditative does not mean in any way something that is, quote, spiritual and unconnected to material body.
Detached or transcendent necessarily. It's actually quite embodied, and then it's embodied sort of meditation, embodied presence, like sometimes called embodied presence.
So, would you say that is the spiritual component of your approach to therapy, that sense of embodied presence?
Yeah, and my emphasis on awareness. And just for me, it's not like I don't talk spirituality with my clients at all, really, unless they're particularly on a spiritual path and they want to talk about that. I just hold it that way. I hold that with that third body just as part of my understanding implicitly. That ultimately all the neuroses or all the blockages are all forms of an intelligent activity that wants to unfold, and the person's personality structure wants to unfold and flower. Again, the seed doesn't know exactly what the flowers are going to look like, but it knows that it needs to go in a certain direction, and so I'm kind of holding that. Therefore, there's an intelligence operating in every obstacle along the way for that person's development. That there's an intelligence there that is actually growing in and through meeting those obstacles, and that it's ultimately going toward wanting to realize its own true nature, which is, in very simple terms, openness and compassion and love and wisdom being the capacity to just know what reality as it is, reality being what is at every moment. So that capacity to just meet and open to our life and ourselves and other people. That capacity is what everyone wants, because that's our true human nature. So that is ultimately where we're going, and it of course would take a different shape for each person, but I kind of always am holding that as part of the process.
And as you're holding it and embodying it in a way, there's no need for the client to be explicitly aware of it, for it to be present in the room.
Not at all, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll basically very rarely talk about meditation or anything of that nature with clients.
Client has the experience of simply talking about very real problems and maybe processing them in this way that's a little bit non-natural of the felt sense, but essentially just of processing these very normal things for them.
Right. So that they're very much connected to their body, their sensations, their feelings. And then another important point is to make a distinction between that experiential stream of feeling and sensation and flow, distinguishing that from their mental stories and constructs about it. That's another thing that keeps blocking the stream is the story that the person has about who they are or what they're doing or what this means or what their life's about. Or in the story, I don't mean a narrative, but a a mental construction, a mental fabrication about what this means.
Yeah, a beaten path also.
Yeah. So when the experiential stream starts to get taken over by a story, then it shuts down. Basically, it stops. It doesn't flow anymore.
Mm.
Because it's like the story puts it in a box. Well, this is what it means. I know what this is. This is what it is. Okay. So it shuts down the process.
Right. And then with the experiential process and paying attention to the felt sense in the body, you're bringing it back to life.
Yeah.
To movement.
You can always, and the thing is, what's beautiful about human experiencing is you can always inquire into it freshly. Even the things you think you know all about,
Mm-hmm.
Well, the person says, I'm just bored with that. Well, what is boredom? What is this boredom? What's going on in this boredom? It's always fresh. And this particular boredom is going to be different than any other boredom. And because it's just what's happening right now, and it's got its own texture because it's a different place on the stream, Maybe upstream it was boredom type A, and now a few miles downstream it's boredom type B, whatever. It's got its own equality at every moment.
And when you capture that quality of the freshness of the moment, you don't have an agenda because you're there.
Right. So it is very much a flow and a dance for two people together.
Mm-hmm.
This recording is part of the podcast at relationalimplicit.com.
Back to life.
Yeah.
To movement.
You can always, and the thing is, what's beautiful about human experiencing is you can always inquire into it freshly. Even the things you think you know all about,
Mm-hmm.
Well, the person says, I'm just bored with that. Well, what is boredom? What is this boredom? What's going on in this boredom? It's always fresh. And this particular boredom is going to be different than any other boredom. And because it's just what's happening right now, and it's got its own texture because it's a different place on the stream, Maybe upstream it was boredom type A, and now a few miles downstream it's boredom type B, whatever. It's got its own equality at every moment.
And when you capture that quality of the freshness of the moment, you don't have an agenda because you're there.
Right. So it is very much a flow and a dance for two people together.
Mm-hmm.
This recording is part of the Somatic Mindfulness and Relational Psychotherapy podcast. See the website relationalimplicit.com.